business leaders and arts supporters, so thank you for being here. I'm Elizabeth Rouse with ArtsMemphis, and we are so honored today to be here to announce on behalf of the Memphis arts community the results of the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study. It is very appropriate that we are here in this place, this building that opened over 90 years ago this month, and now 10 days ago reopened as the Crosstown Concourse. And I especially want to thank Todd Richardson and Chris Miner, the entire team from Crosstown Arts and Crosstown Concourse for hosting us today. This is an example of why the arts matter, and how an art history professor and an arts organization and business leaders can come together and create this vertical village. And it is very fitting that of all the things going on in Memphis, we would announce these results here today. Over the last week, Memphis in May International Festival and the tourism industry have announced their economic impact numbers, and so this is the third key piece of the pie, and we are thrilled to announce these arts and economic numbers. Today you will hear from representatives from ArtsMemphis, from the Tennessee Arts Commission, and from and from the Chamber of Commerce. And then after we wrap up the remarks, we will have a team gathered over here from local businesses, from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and from Crosstown to take questions from the media and others. ArtsMemphis has been honored to be a study partner and work with Americans for the Arts, the Tennessee Arts Commission, and the 71 organizations in Shelby County who participated in this study. We could not do this without our staff and our board of directors, and so with that, I will turn it to Lucy Lee, who is the chair of our board of directors.
Thank you, Elizabeth. As Elizabeth mentioned, I have the honor of serving as the chair of ArtsMemphis. Now, can you hear me? Now, can you hear me? Yes. As Elizabeth mentioned, I have the honor of serving as the chair of ArtsMemphis. For those of you who may not be familiar with ArtsMemphis, we are one of the nation's largest united arts funds, and we're the primary grant maker for the city of Memphis for the arts. Our mission is to sustain the world-renowned cultural vitality of Memphis and strengthen our local communities through the arts. Each year, we award over 150 grants to more than 70 arts organizations and artists throughout the city. Thus, we have invested over $40 million in the arts in Memphis over the last 10 years. Beyond our role as a grants-making organization, we are also the liaison often between the business community and the artistic community. In order to carry out this vital work, we rely on the support of over 1,100 donors. Our staff at ArtsMemphis and our board of directors work very hard to raise these funds. The arts and economic prosperity results that you're about to hear are vitally important because of the powerful data they provide for us to pass on to our supporters, letting them know the powerful impact that their philanthropic gifts make to the city of Memphis. With that in mind, I want to acknowledge the incredible investment of time and energy of the 71 arts groups who participated in this study. Many of you are represented here today. We want to offer you our sincere thanks. Of course, no one in this room would have been able to participate in the AEP5 if not for the investment of the Tennessee Arts Commission, which served as the agency responsible for coordinating the statewide data collecting efforts. ArtsMemphis was honored to serve as the Commission's partner for this region of Tennessee. And so it is my pleasure to introduce Ann Pope, the Executive Director of the Tennessee Arts Commission, and Richie Manley Bowden, the chair of the commission. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Lucy. Each year, the Tennessee Arts Commission helps fund arts activities for more than 700 organizations and artists across the state of Tennessee, totaling more than $30 million over the past 5 years, with the majority of the funding coming from the sale of Tennessee specialty license plates. We are proud to have led the statewide research effort that went into AEP5. Altogether, more than 600 Tennessee arts organizations participated in the study, including more than 70 groups from right here in Shelby County. These groups collectively donated thousands of hours in volunteer time to collect surveys from arts attendees across all of the state. And the incredible work done here in Shelby County truly set the standard for other metropolitan areas across the state of Tennessee. This was possible in large part due to the mobilization and coordination of ArtsMemphis. At this time, I'm going to let Ann Pope tell you about the national and the statewide survey results.
Thank you, Richie, so much. For all of us who care deeply about the arts, I bet you're often asked, why should private donors and government agencies invest in artists in art groups? Aren't y'all asked that often? One way to answer that is, well, arts connect us emotionally, personally, spiritually, and it communicates our shared humanity across generations. But that's only part of the answer. There's more. The arts are a powerful economic driver, and AEP5 study results offer very clear proof of that fact. To begin with, on a national level, the typical arts event attendee spends an average of $31.47 per event, and that excludes the cost of admission. For example, when patrons attend a cultural event, they may pay to park their car, eat dinner in a restaurant, shop in nearby stores, such as here, and pay a babysitter when they get home. And if you factor in the impact of arts organizations themselves, the numbers increase to 4.6 million supported jobs and 27.5 billion in government revenue, far exceeding the 5 billion of public funds that was allocated to the arts in 2015. Just think about that. A $5 billion public investment that generated over $27.5 billion in government revenue. Now that's what I call a good return on investment. The AEP results are equally impressive on the state level here in Tennessee. Statewide, our nonprofit arts industry supported the equivalent of over 38,000 full-time jobs during 2015. Overall, for that year, our state's arts sector represented $1.2 billion in total expenditures, and it generated almost $140 million for state and local governments. Now, I know what you're all wondering. That's great for Tennessee, but how does that all relate back to Shelby County? To tell you that, I'm going to turn it back over to Elizabeth Rouse, the ArtsMemphis President and CEO. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, the total nonprofit arts industry spending in Shelby County as part of this study is $197 million. The nonprofit arts industry alone in Shelby County supports the equivalent of more than 6,000 jobs. So that means if the nonprofit arts industry were a single publicly traded company, we would be the second largest employer in the city, and in fact employ 4,000 people in nonprofit arts organizations alone, not in industry-related organizations. The household income appropriated by the nonprofit arts sector is more than $160 million, and the government revenue generated from the nonprofit arts sector in Shelby County is more than $22 million. So these numbers point to the power of the arts as an economic driver, and around the room you will see signage with data and more information about the numbers at the local, state, and national level. But just think about it. Look no further than this room where we are standing. We've talked about this vertical urban village, Farm Burger's about to open. There's construction upstairs preparing the Crosstown art space, which includes galleries and restaurants and a brewery and so many opportunities for artists to work and perform. The first time I came in this building was actually when ArtsMemphis created the Ghost of Crosstown many years ago, before this construction started here, an opera based on the stories of folks who worked in the original Sears building. I should note that they also raised thousands of dollars from outside of Memphis to produce that opera. And just 2 weeks ago, for the opening of this building, there were hours and hours of performances and art installations right in this atrium and all across the building. So that's without even looking beyond this building. I know many of you can't see this map up front, but there is a map up front of all of the programs supported by ArtsMemphis that these 70 organizations lead in Shelby County. You can start at the river with the Metal Museum and think about all the activity in South Main, and you can head past Cleveland and head on to Overton Square, where Ballet Memphis opened their headquarters just last weekend. And you can head all the way out east to Germantown, Collierville, Cordova, and there is almost not a block in this city that doesn't include artists and arts support happening every single day. So you should be very proud to be a part of that. Consider the Blues Foundation. Every year, this authentically Memphis organization hosts the International Blues Competition, which drives millions of dollars in sales and tourism from around the entire world. The 2017 competition attracted more than 6,000 people and generated over $3.5 million in direct spending. So that's just one example. The nonprofit arts industry in Shelby County is Shelby County's second largest tourist attraction, right behind Beale Street and right ahead of the Bass Pro Shops. This fact is, with total annual expenditures of nearly $200 million, we have to stop thinking about the arts and the local nonprofit arts sector as a charitable sector. It is indeed a business sector. And with that, I'd like to turn it to Phil Trineri, who is the president and CEO of the Greater Memphis Chamber, to tell you a bit more about why these jobs and why the arts are important to the business community. Phil?
Morning, everyone. You can tell by looking at the dais that, and looking around the room, if you want to get something important done, go find a woman. And I'm honored to represent the males in the crowd here. To quote ex-President Joe Biden in cleaned up way, this is really a big deal. And I have to be careful. We have guests from Nashville here. We love Nashville. We're there all the time. But you think about this building we're standing in, 1 million square feet, abandoned. And a lot of folks, including me, looked at it and said, that's not possible. You cannot take that and turn it into something like this. This isn't happening in other places. You look at the other renovations of buildings like this, it doesn't look like this. Rock and roll, blues, the art, you see all of this city. This vertical city couldn't happen in Nashville. It couldn't happen any place but Memphis, Tennessee. And that is such an important factor when it comes to economic development and getting companies to move to Memphis. I have the honor of marketing Memphis all over the world. It's an even greater honor to bring them here. Because guess what? If you Google Memphis, it may not be the story you want to see. We get them here, we've got them. We have a company that's in here from out of town, obviously, and we were showing them our assets. We always focus on the arts as part of that. They were blown away. You know, everybody knows about Elvis, everybody knows about B.B. King, but that is just scratching the surface. And you're talking about the ballet. Yes, it's a beautiful facility, but it's a world-class, award-winning ballet and the most diverse ballet in the entire nation. Only Memphis, Tennessee. And you see that repeated over and over again. So yes, it's a big deal to have an industry that's equivalent to 6,000 jobs, as Elizabeth said. But think about the jobs we're able to attract and retain because of the arts here. And speaking of women, we need to give Elizabeth a big round of applause because she does a fantastic job. Also happens to be one of my former bosses, so a little self-serving there. And you look at the investment and where it's going. So much of the investment in the arts is going in these underserved neighborhoods. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about Binghamton, Crosstown, right here, the Edge, Oakland Square. The arts have anchored in every one of those. You would not see the development and resurgence of the economy but for the arts. And it's so important that I support it. It's a pretty clear message, and that's one thing we all have to get on board with. The arts are an important investment. So when people start talking about a museum, a theater group, it doesn't matter. Choose your favorite art. It's so important that we have a thriving art community. There's something in the water here. Like I said, all that stuff couldn't happen anywhere else. There's just something about this place. But it does a whole lot better when supported financially. It's so important we do that because it is an investment. Our job will be far, far more difficult. Because we have a great geographic location. We have assets that no other community has when it comes to infrastructure, our rails, our runways, our highways, our river. But it's things like this, and work you all do, to get people to move here, more important, stay here. So thank you so much to all of you for doing this great work, especially you, Elizabeth, and everybody you all work with. Thank you. The only important thing I had to do up here, I almost forgot. I'd like to bring up Will Murray, the Director of Development Communication for ArtsMemphis.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you all for being here today. This is the conclusion of our formal remarks. I want to once again recognize all of our speakers. It's wonderful to have them all here today. And I want to also recognize the folks from Crosstown for letting us use their space for this announcement. And lastly, I want to thank all of the arts groups represented here today who participated in AEP5. It was a momentous study, and I think it's going to be valuable for all of us in the days ahead. With that, I'd like to call forward a handful of folks who are available for interview. If there are members of the press who would like to run stories about this announcement, the following people are available for interview. Octavia Young, the founder of Midtown Crossing Grill. Philip and Perry Crew Holzendorf Felling, co-founders of Mama Gaia. If you all would come forward as I call your names. Phil Trenery, of course. Todd Richardson. Todd, if you want to come forward. Milton Lovell, CFO and General Counsel of Nexair. Jenny Koltnow, Director of Communications and Community Relations at AutoZone. You all can sort of step forward. All of these folks have name tags on for members of the press who want to interview them. Kevin Kane, is Kevin here? President and CEO of the Memphis Convention and Visitors Bureau. And of course, all the rest of the speakers, Elizabeth Rouse, Lucy Lee, Ann Pope, and Richie Manley Bowden. Thank you all again for coming out, and I look forward to seeing you supporting the arts in the days ahead.